Hello everyone, we are going to review how to solve for two-step equations. Instead of one step, we're going to need two steps, right? We're still going to use inverse operations to get the variable alone. Remember, your whole objective in solving an equation is to get that variable alone, number one. Number two, use inverse operations to do it. And whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do on the other side of the equal sign. You have to keep that balance. All right, so we'll start looking at number one. It says 3y minus 12 equals 18. So your eyes are over here to the left hand side of that equation. There's a y attached to the 3, but you are not going to go and break those up first. You are going to look at this negative 12. This negative 12 or this minus 12, you're going to use inverse operations to bring it to the other side. You want it to cancel here and bring it over to the other side of the equal sign with the 18, like combining like terms. So here we go. Opposite of subtraction is addition. So we have to add 12 on this side and add 12 on the right side. Keep it neat as possible. Bring down the 3y exactly where on the side of the equation that it is. See this equal sign? You bring that down exactly where it is, and 18 plus 12 is 30. What happens when you add 12 on both sides? It becomes a one-step equation, and that one-step equation right now is attached by multiplication, the operation of multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So that's what you want to do, is divide by the number that is next to the variable at all times. Remember, your objective is to get that variable alone, and as long as you get that variable alone, you are going to solve for that problem. The variable will be y equals 10 in this case. For number two, taking a look at number two, you have negative 2x plus 11 equals negative 19. If you want to pause the video and give it a try, you can pause it right now. So if you didn't pause it and you're doing it right now, you should be ahead of where I am. This is negative 2x plus 11 equals negative 19. I am looking on this whole side of the equal sign. I am looking on that side because the variable is over on that left hand side. So we have a plus 11 here. We're not going to touch the negative 2x first. We're just going to add, we're going to see with this 11, and we're going to try to bring it over to that right hand side. So the opposite of addition is subtraction, and we're going to minus 11 from both sides. This is going to cancel. And we have negative 2x equals, and I'm going to stop here and say, all right, a lot of people make mistakes with this, but I am going to take the calculator out, and I'm going to put negative 19 minus 11. And that's exactly what this says. Enter negative 30. Please do not try to do it on your own. If you have a calculator, have use of that calculator, use the calculator, and then you could get that answer right. Not make a mistake on just adding and subtracting numbers. When you look at this side, you're going to look at it and say, all right, I have a negative 2x that's attached by multiplication. I'm going to divide because the opposite of multiplication is division, inverse operations. And remember, you're always dividing by the number that is next to the variable. You're not changing the sign of that number unless you're adding and subtracting, and in this case you're not, you're dividing. So negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. They cancel, x comes down, and negative 30 divided by negative 2. Negative divided by negative is positive, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. Alright, and that is your two-step practice, and we're going to move on to other problems. So we have right here, this is 4x minus 10 equals 70, and 13x minus 26 equals 13. If you want to try those problems right now, you could press pause and try those problems, and then press play when you're finished and see if you have the answer. Press pause now. Okay, so here we go. We have 4x minus 10 equals 70. You add 10 to both sides, again using inverse operations, and you cancel out the 10s on the left side, and you have 4x equals 80. Divide by 4 on both sides, you get x equals 20. Hopefully you got that. Number 4, you add 26, because here's the negative 26, always working from the left side right here with the variable. You add 26 on the right side as well. The 26 is cancel. You bring down the 13x, always bring down that equal sign, and bring down the 39. 13 plus 26. And you divide by 13, because the opposite of multiplication is division, and you divide by 13 on the right side. X equals 3. So we are going to move on to two-step practice with fractional coefficients. So we'll do number 1 together, and you could take number 2 and see if you could do that. X over 2 plus 3 equals 5 is number 1. Again, always looking from that side where the variable is. That's where you want to start, and you want to remove terms from that side. So the opposite of plus 3, you're not going to move anything over here yet, x over 2. But the opposite of plus 3 is negative 3, minus 3. So you're going to subtract 3 on both sides of that equal sign. Once that is finished, you line yourself up, reset the problem. This cancels. X over 2 equals 2. And remember, if you watch the single step video review, this one right here is a single step equation. So we are going to use the reciprocal and multiply, because that fraction is division. That fraction represents division as the operation. So that means you have to use multiplication to undo division and to get that variable alone. So it's just like multiplying by the reciprocal. I'm not going to put the 1 underneath it, because there's no need when the reciprocal is 2 over 1 to put that there, because the 2's will cancel, x comes down, and x equals 4. And you are finished with this problem. Multiply, when you see a fraction, multiply by the reciprocal. Alright, and you do not have to put x down on the bottom. See, look, there's a 1 next to here that we don't write, and you can multiply by 2 over 1 the reciprocal, and 2 over 1 the reciprocal. Look, the 1's canceled. This is the reason why I'm not writing it. X comes down anyway. Look, 2 times 2 is 4, and this has a 1 underneath it too. It's 1 times 1 is 1. 4 over 1 is 4. That's the reason why I'm not writing it. So go ahead and try number 2 on your own. Press pause now. So I got up to this point right here. Add 6 on both sides. Again, looking on the side where the variable is. I use the opposite of subtraction, which is addition, and you add on both sides. So you're adding 6, and you get x over 5. The 6's cancel, equals, the equal sign comes down, and equals 6. Now, what do you do with a fraction? A fraction represents division, and if it represents division, the opposite of division is multiplication. You're going to multiply by its reciprocal, the reciprocal of 1 over 5. And when I say 1, I mean this 1 right here. 1 over 5 is 5 over 1. I'm not going to write the 1 underneath, because it does not matter. We don't need it. It does not change the answer. If you multiply by 5 on both sides, this cancels with this, and x comes down. And 6 times 5 is 30, and that is your answer. Not bad, not bad. So going on to distributive property, and these are the last two that we are going to take. Going on with distributive property, we're going to take a look at number 5 and number 6. We're going to do anytime you see parentheses, you have to perform distributive property. Get rid of those parentheses to start to solve the problem. The worst thing in the world is for you to do this, -5, -5, without removing those parentheses, because this is 2 times this whole thing. You have to perform that first to get anywhere in solving, to move ahead in solving those equations. So what we're going to do is we're going to do distributive property. So it's 2 times x and 2 times 5. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times +5 is +10. And we are going to put that down right away. And as soon as we do it, you notice that it is a 2-step equation that we have. So we're looking on that left side, and the opposite of +10 is, yes, it is -10. I could hear you say it right away. And as long as you subtract 10 on the left side, you have to subtract 10 on that right side. Just reset the problem. Cancel out the 10s. The 2x comes down, and you have -8, and you put it in the calculator, -10. That is -18. Alright, now looking on the left-hand side again. You're going to look on that left-hand side. You're going to say, wow, I have multiplication. Maybe you won't say wow, but you'll say, I have multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Yes, it is division. So you're going to divide by 2 on both sides. Dividing by 2 on both sides. This cancels, x comes down, and you will have the equal sign come down. Don't forget the equal sign. And -18 divided by +2 is -9. And the only reason why I'm going to do another problem here is that this is distributive property with a negative, and that drives people nuts, because a lot of teachers say bring down the positive. That is not the case. I'll show you why. So we have -3, we have parentheses. I'm looking on this side. Wait, let me see. I have parentheses. I am going to do distributive property. So I'm going to multiply -3, and I'm also going to multiply -3 by 2. So -3 times x is -3x. And that's because it's negative times a positive. Negative times a positive is negative. Negative times a +2 is -6. Do not forget that. It is not bringing the positive down. It is because it's negative times a positive. That is a -6. And we have 18. That is a 2-step equation. You're almost home free. So we have subtraction here. We're looking at this variable. We're not going to touch it yet. Remember, the opposite of subtraction is addition, so that's why we're going to add here, to get rid of the 6 from that side, the left side, and bring it over to the right side. So we have 6's that are canceling here. -6 and +6, they cancel. You bring down the -3x. You bring down the equal sign. Always bring down the equal sign. And then you count on your fingers. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I almost forgot. All right. So this is 24. Again, you have multiplication attached, used as the operation that is attaching the -3 and the x. You divide. You divide by the number that is next to the variable. You do not switch the sign of that number. You just divide by that number. And you're dividing by that number on both sides. And I'm going to go over here. X equals -8, because -3 goes into 24. -8 times. Alright, that is my two-step equation video practice video, and hope it helped you out a little bit. See you next time.